It's been a while, but we are back, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2022. It's a new season of the Dropping the Hammer Racing Hour. I'm Alex Gray along with my co-host, Michael Klein, and I tell you what, 2022 is going to be a huge season in NASCAR, no doubt.
Oh, it absolutely is. You know, I think at this point, everyone's kind of starting to recover from the past couple years. We have a lot of new stuff to look forward to for the next season. A lot of stuff has been announced lately. We have the Clash coming up next week at the LA Coliseum. I think this is going to be an incredible year for NASCAR.
Yeah, I agree completely, and you just brought that up. I don't think the Clash has ever been this hyped up ever before. I mean, we're going to have concerts during race breaks like it's the Super Bowl, because it technically is like the week before the Super Bowl, which is in L.A., funny enough, which for Michael and I, living in the Cincinnati area, we are very happy Bengal fans right now, so we are hoping the Bengals can beat the Chiefs and make the Super Bowl. But we are not talking about football right now. We're talking about racing. And actually,
not going to say anything to jinx the Bengals. Same
here. Not going to say anything. I don't want to jinx them because we haven't experienced this ever. So we're just going with it. The LA Coliseum just got released on iRacing. You actually managed to take some laps in it. I'm going to buy it tomorrow when I get paid. What were your first thoughts on taking it out for a spin?
Tight. That's all I can say. Yeah. I know they're doing some official. Yeah. I know they're doing some official races on there, and it's like, I don't know. I'm going to check and see if it's going to affect your safety rating at all, because it's like, if so, nope, not doing it, because that place is going to absolutely murder safety ratings, and I am already dangerously low on my over rating. But, yeah, really fun track from my take on it, and I also decided to take the modified around there, and I found that so much fun. It's going to be a great track to run, for like some hosted events, but honestly, I just don't think I could do any official races on there, because that place is going to be an absolute safety rating destroyer.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a place where safety ratings go to die. I think that track could be really well used, like you said, for like modifieds, late models, super late models, even Legends cars, I think, in street stocks. You could have some fun with this track. I mean,
yeah, honestly,
next year,
yeah, I'd love to see them bring a NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour event as like a kickoff to this. I think this place would just be perfect for that.
Oh, absolutely. I think it'd be a great idea. It's kind of like with the Bristol Dirt thing. You had the Cup race, but you also had that event we went to last year with the World of Outlaws.
Well, yeah, but that was run as a totally separate event. I'm thinking like have the modifieds be the direct opener to the Cup Series.
I see. That's not a bad idea. And maybe if you want to have a little extra fun, maybe throw in an ARCA West race in there.
Ooh,
that could be disaster.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I probably wouldn't like that as a driver, but as a fan, that would be awesome to watch. Even today, I love going back and watching the old K&N E Series races at Bowman Gray. But it's like, I don't know if I would want to be a competitor in one of those unless I'm starting on pole, because it's like the way these tracks are, if you're on pole, you're pretty much set for the race.
Yeah, because I think the best way of passing somebody at that rate is moving them, possibly
Chrome horn.
Yep. It's just like Bowman Gray. So
yeah, like
who knows?
Like what our buddy Slapshoe says, passing up one of these tracks is like performing open heart surgery with a broadsword. Yes, technically you can do it, but it's not going to be pretty.
Right. It won't be pretty at all. And I'm sure we're going to see a ton of fireworks in that race. And, I've heard that 70% of the ticket holders for this race have never been to a race before, and they're new to the sport. So that's also a huge, huge thing for NASCAR as they're trying to push more towards, you would say, a more general and casual audience.
Yeah, I was honestly really excited to hear that, because when you get guys like Pitbull and Ice Cube as, the concert performances before and at halftime, I believe, during the race, that's going to bring some of just the general audience out there. When you have like an A-list celebrity performing before a race, which that's something I'd love to see more of in NASCAR. Nowadays we'll get guys like Luke Combs or Chris Jansen to do it, who is someone who listens to country music may like, but, is, say, your guy who, has an office job in L.A., are they going to know them, or are they going to listen to them? So when you're trying to do that, that's not going to bring in that general audience like they would hope so. So when you go looking for these more mainstream artists, that's going to bring in a lot more people.
Yeah, and they also, Bob Hawkers also announced earlier, Collective Soul will have a 60-minute concert in the fan zone prior to the race at Auto Club. And that's another prime example, even though that's not the Clash, that's still, relatively popular group.
Yeah, honestly, I'd love to go see that. I was a pretty big Collective Soul fan growing up. Still am, really. But, personally, I'd love to see, you can go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, I mean, heck, I'd like to see someone like Mike Shinoda, or heck, even any rock group I would like 3 Days Grace perform there. I know you mentioned in the past that, even when you went to like an IndyCar race at Kentucky, they had some pretty notable names, didn't they?
Yeah. So just some of the names who I can think of that performed pre-race shows at some of the races we went to include the Charlie Daniels Band, Smash Mouth, Jonas Brothers. It seemed like after a couple of years they started drifting more toward a country sort of route. But, like I said, these used to be bands they would book for Busch Series races or IndyCar races. And, yeah, you'll get someone for the Indy 500 now, but it's the Indy 500. you could get anybody for that.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that this was even before the Cup Series ever came to Kentucky.
Yeah, and I guess while we're mentioning this, too, we should also mention that Kentucky Speedway will be hosting its first event in over 2 years in August of this year with the Interstellar Music Festival. So definitely can't wait for that.
EDM, that's a sign at least the track hasn't been shut down. We don't really know what the future of that track holds. Same deal with Chicagoland, unfortunately. We know that there will be no racing there, but at least, for there to be at least a music festival there is still a good deal. So it's just kind of wait and see, I guess, what happens next.
Racing will be back.
I hope so. I still argue IndyCar should go there because I think, if I remember correctly, I saw that IndyCar had, in their top 10 TV markets of 2021, Louisville and Cincinnati were both in that top 10. So I'm like, well, that's funny. Isn't there a track in between those two cities? Why not go there? I think they could draw a good crowd with IndyCar.
Oh, man, yeah. And honestly, the Kentucky IndyCar races were honestly more exciting than the Kentucky NASCAR races, if I'm being honest. We went to one in 2007, and my dad loved it.
Yep.
He never really enjoyed going to races, but he loved that. And I loved it, too. I mean, who doesn't love those Indy cars going around 1.5 miles? And honestly, probably better suited for them now, with the smoother surface.
Yeah, I think it would work perfectly. And, yeah, I was at that 2007 race, too, when Franchitti flipped there at the end of the race.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I was a Franchitti fan, so...
I just remember my dad and I were shocked, like, oh, my God, what just happened,
Car flipped after the checkers flew.
Yeah, but... So, yeah, I mean, we're hopeful for that. So the Clash will be a lot of fun. Since it's been a while since we've done a show, obviously we'll do a quick review. Louisville, Kentucky's Ben Rhodes, the Truck Series champion. Big moment for his racing career, only with a handful of wins, but he had two really huge wins last season at Daytona and the Daytona Road Course, so he pretty much conquered the track itself the first two races of the season. And he caps it off by securing the championship. Big moment for him, obviously. Obviously, you look at Zane Smith, John Herney-Machek, some of these guys will definitely be back to compete for the championship in 2022. Looking at the Xfinity Series, you, me, and John went absolutely insane when we watched this together. Daniel Hemrick, the champion, also getting his first win, and finally we got to see him do the backflip that we've long awaited for. But he and Austin Cindric absolutely went at it, and in that playoff one, I know people are arguing about how, that's not how you decide a champion. Well, guess what? In today's format, sometimes that has to happen. And Hemrick pretty much saw the opportunity, saying, I need to get by this guy if I want to win the championship, and beat him by inches. So a thrilling finish. And then the Cup Series, well, well-deserved. Kyle Larson, after a 10-win dominating season, managed to cap it off, pretty much a dream season, winning 10 races and scoring his first championship. And, of course, with Hendrick Motorsports, I don't know how many championships that man has at this point. I think he's running out of trophy space. But, yeah.
I think it's 12.
So that pretty much capped off 12? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think you're right. Because
let me go back and think. Wait, no, 14.
Yeah, 4 with Jeff, 7 with Jimmy. That's 11. Terry Labonte, 96. And then, Elliott and Larson, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Okay. But, and obviously I think Hendrick's got 4 drivers that could definitely win the championship for Elliott and Larson again. And, I think William Byron and Alex Bowman are capable of doing so as well. But
especially
going
Bowman.
into 2022, definitely not a hack. I mean, he truly broke out last season. 4 wins. And I have him as a favorite for the championship. I don't know why, but I really feel like he could be a big favorite.
Yeah, and also just remember that this year,
I wouldn't count
this last year, just remember that he started running more on dirt. And what happens? He starts winning more races. This year, from what I understand, he's planning 30 to 35 winged sprint car races, and I believe he's also going to attempt to run all the midget races at Lucas Oil. Maybe not all of them, but some of them that his schedule will allow. And maybe some more midget events throughout the year. So, I mean, I think that's going to be a huge help. I mean, don't be shocked if we see Alex Bowman maybe get to the championship 4 this year.
I could certainly see it. I could really, really see it. And, of course, the biggest thing going into 2022 is how are these drivers going to adapt to the new next-gen car, the car that we have been waiting for since its announcement in 2019, had to get pushed back a year because of COVID. But here we are. This new car, we've seen the tests. We've seen the package that it's going to use. And it's going to be interesting because these cars can be used anywhere instead of actually building a car for a certain race. So, 5 gears, sequential gearbox, this car handles a lot differently than any previous stock car. So the question is, will the older drivers be able to adapt quicker, or will the young drivers finally truly take over?
This could definitely be somewhere where you see the newer guys start to adapt better just because, they're not as used to these cars as the older guys are. So we definitely could see a lot more of the younger guys making even more of a resurgence. And even now we're seeing drivers struggle with it. I mean, during the test for the past couple of days, we had Kyle Busch lose it on himself. Chase Elliott lost it by himself. Yep. These cars are harder to drive. And I'll tell you this, I love that. Yeah. I love that. These things are not supposed to be easy to drive.
Right.
Yeah, and also, I think we'll see a lot more of the mid-pack or even, back markers starting to make more of an impact, just with everything being spec-built. And that also kind of leads into something else I think we need to discuss is the new penalty structure they've announced. NASCAR is going to drop the hammer on these guys if they're caught messing
no pun intended.
with any of these parts. I mean, I think they said the penalty for tampering with factory parts is going to possibly be lack of playoff eligibility. We're talking basically ending their season.
Yeah, that's like that's almost a postseason ban. You would hear that stuff in NCAA sports if a team a program hit a really bad violation. They would possibly hand it with the postseason ban. So and
another thing I saw too was and something else I saw in there is that not only are we talking like crew chief suspensions or driver suspensions, what I saw there was team suspensions, teams getting suspended for whole races. And that's just crazy how much NASCAR is going to go to enforce that the competition stays as level as it can be.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now here on jski.com. The structure reserves its harshest L3 penalty options for the tampering and counterfeiting of next-gen single-source vendor parts. Those infractions joining testing policy violations in infractions in 3 significant off-limits areas: the engine, tires, fuel, under the L3 umbrella. This heading includes the deduction of Cup Series points, playoff points, crew member suspensions, and, as you mentioned, postseason bans. So I think this is going to really tighten the competition even more, to where you might see more of a front row or Spire or a Rick Ware car have more of a shot, depending how things fall. So I'm really intrigued to see how this all nets out throughout the season, because teams are still going to try and push it, but now with these harsher penalties, it's kind of like, ugh. And not to mention, some team owners have talked about this, but some teams are, they don't have the amount of cars that they thought they would have due to the supply chain issues. So then it starts to come down to, our drivers going to have to focus more on taking care of their cars because all their stuff hasn't come in yet, and the season's just right around the corner.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, what we're starting to see now with the next gen, and just how much it's going to be enforced and how everything's just playing into what we may see next year.
Yeah, and, there's a lot of changes coming for sure. This is a brand new NASCAR at this point. And then, of course, if I'm correct, aren't they working on a hybrid engine or something like that that's coming out within a year or two?
What was that?
I think, I'm trying to remember correctly. I'm going to look this up on the fly, but I thought, NASCAR is looking to transition to a hybrid powertrain by 2024. And the next-gen car basically has that ability to go hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we're going to see in every form of motorsports, really. That's just the way the world's going now.
Yeah.
So, we're going to see eventually every racing series become electrified. Like it or hate it, that's going to happen.
It will. It's the way of the future, And I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I'm certainly more intrigued to see how NASCAR adapts to it and see how it all nets out.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely looking forward to this season. I'm guessing you're going down to Daytona again.
Yep, I will be.
Okay. I was planning on it, but I did get a new job and some things changed around, and I elected to try again another time. And hopefully maybe next time around I will go to the Daytona 500. Plus, I'd just rather focus on building up my finances a little bit better and that way.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah. But start things off at Daytona. We also have the Rolex 24 coming up this weekend. And not only that, we actually teamed up with your brother and a few other people, including Mr. Toby Christie, and we ran in the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona. And we actually finished in 9th place. We had a pretty good run, considering that it was a new experience for most of us, and we didn't have the kind of setup that some of those faster guys had too.
Right. I mean, we were pretty much using the stock setup, and a bunch of these guys had, were very experienced in road racing, which we're not. You and I are mainly oval guys on iRacing. I think pretty much everyone there was. Except for maybe John. John does a lot of road racing. And I think Charlie Brown does a lot of road racing too. Honestly, I did a lot better than I thought I would. So, yeah, it's definitely a fun experience, and I know we want to do it again. So definitely look at doing it for probably Sebring. I believe we have the Bathurst 12 Hours coming up. I don't know if we're going to try that, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, certainly. I had a ton of fun. I really loved driving the LMP2 prototype. I did a lot better in my second stint, probably because I didn't really practice driving when it was dark out. So when I was able to get back out there when it was a little bit brighter, I did much better. It was just a ton of fun. It was a big learning curve for me, and I definitely want to see if I can work on my road racing skills a little bit. I feel like I could do pretty good with prototype cars.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to try to do more of the iRacing special events this year, and I'll probably be investing quite a bit more into sim racing this year.
Mm-hmm. I will definitely try to as well. Actually, last night, I kicked things off in the Elite Racing League with their Clash. They ran it at Martinsville with the super late models. Pretty much anyone was welcome in it. Pulsars from last year were locked in, so I had to raced via the heats, and unfortunately, lap 2 of my heat, guy spun out in front of me, got collected, pretty much had heavy damage, and no luck in the LCQ either. But I will be racing in the Elite Cup Series, and well, I'll be an open car. We'll see how things go there. So it'll be with the next gen. So I don't know. I hope it's fun, and hope I can make some races.
Yeah, I signed up for a few leagues. I'm not going to try to focus too heavily on that. Obviously, I'm trying to get my real thing back going here, which I do just want to say that we are looking for sponsorship for the season. Right now, we plan on racing in ARCA and in late models, and, of course, continuing to do USAC. So if anyone here knows anyone who would be interested in hopping on a car, please let us know at either of our Twitter accounts or any social medias. We're planning on making this year one of our biggest years yet. So if anyone wants to be a part of that, hit any of us up, and we'll try to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll leave a link to Michael's Twitter. If you're watching this on YouTube later, I'll leave a link to his Twitter if anybody's interested in sponsoring him for his upcoming season here. So obviously I'm looking forward for you to get back on the track and, just basically get back to doing what you love doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously I'm looking at options to move down to Charlotte, North Carolina, just to be in the center of all that and just see what maybe we can do down there. I mean, honestly, just being down there, it'd be cool if I could find maybe something at Millbridge to run during the week and then something to run during the weekends. But, like I said, it's all just going to come down to funding.
Right. So basically now at this point, I kind of want to wrap the show up here with talking about some predictions and what we could see across all 3 circuits of the NASCAR season coming up. I'm going to release on my YouTube channel, Sonicals831. I'll be releasing my predictions video here very soon, probably after I post this podcast on YouTube. Hopefully, the goal is February 1st. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but just some big ones. If you're cool with that, maybe you can throw in some predictions you have.
Sure.
All righty. To start things off, Speed Weeks. Obviously, I do think the Clash will be a hit. I think with it being in such a big market and a very historic venue in the LA Coliseum that's pretty much hosted everything from World Cup to football to the Olympics and even baseball and everything in between. And now it's hosting the NASCAR Cup Series. I feel like this is a race that a lot of people will be talking about. I think this could go to a driver that is a bit more on the aggressive side, and I feel like a guy like Joey Logano will win the Clash at the Coliseum. What do you think?
Oh, man. I don't know how I can pick somebody. I mean, this is something NASCAR has never done before. We are in a brand-new car. Oh, my gosh.
That's true.
Yeah. You know what?
You make a really valid point there.
Yeah. So you know what? Just in the spirit of probably the absolute shit show this is probably going to be, and just no, I'm going to say something crazy. I'm going to say Ryan Preece goes with the win. Ryan Preece with Rick Ware Racing wins the Clash.
Okay, I could see that. That would be interesting because he is going to run some select Cup races with Rick Ware. And some races with DGR and trucks, and I think with BJ McLeod and Xfinity, because recent news, Eric Almirola is going to retire at the end of 2022. And from what everything sees, I think Preece is taking that car in 2023. So I think this would be huge for him, certainly, if he could go out and win a race such as this. Plus,
he's looking like an absolute genius right now. Yeah. Yeah, so obviously he's got experience on these little bull rings, so he may be a little bit better suited for that. Actually, you know what? More realistic pick, just because this guy also comes from this sort of background, Martin Truex Jr.
Okay.
So let's go with Martin Truex as my pick and Ryan Preece as dark horse.
Okay. I can believe in that. I can believe in that. I like that. I like those picks. Those are really good picks, in my opinion. Moving on to the season openers for all 3 circuits. I got Grant Enfinger winning the Daytona truck race with his first race back with GMS, although I have to put Jordan Anderson down as a dark horse because he finished second in this race the last 2 years. maybe third time is a lucky charm for him, assuming he runs this race anyway, if it's not a driver that he puts in. But I think Jordan Anderson could be a dark horse. Looking at Xfinity, I think Daniel Hemrick will pick up where he left off, because I think now that he's got his first win, he's going to win a lot more. He's with a team that's, I think, probably one of the biggest teams to talk about going into the season. Not only that, this team is like the modern-day DEI at Daytona and Talladega. And then lastly, Daytona 500, Jimmy Johnson with the first Gen 6 race did it in 2013. I think Car 48 gets it done, and Alex Bowman wins the Daytona 500. But I do have Brad Keselowski as a little bit of a second pick as well. What about you?
Okay, so I'm going with Jordan for the truck race. 2 years in a row, second, third time's the charm. He gets it done this year. Xfinity Series, gonna go with Landon Castle. He's with college. He's finally with a team that's able to win races consistently. So I think we see Landon Castle finally get that first NASCAR win. Cup?
Certainly.
You know what? I kind of like what you were thinking. I think I'm also. You know what? I think he gets it done. He's won everything there is to win lately, and this is the one thing that I can think of. The one crown jewel he's not won. Kyle Larson wins the 500.
Okay, yeah. You make a good point. I really am feeling a Hendrick car winning this race for whatever reason. I am feeling a Hendrick car. Obviously they are the most dominant team in NASCAR right now. I think picking anybody at Hendrick's going to be a safe bet. So absolutely with Larson, I think that's a really good choice.
Okay.
And you bring up Landon Castle. This is going to be a big season for him, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do, because finally he's got an opportunity to win races. And I think he's going to show them what he's made of, and I think he's going to get in victory lane a couple of times this season for sure.
Yeah. Who knows? We could even maybe see him winning the Cup race. I mean, just think about it. It wouldn't be crazy. He's running part-time with Spire. Obviously, with the way the series is now, it's probably as good a year as any for them. And Spire's one of the teams I feel like is going to benefit greatly from this new package. Oh,
certainly. I definitely see where you're coming from there for sure. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do this coming season. I definitely have him down as drivers in Xfinity that get their first wins, which is what I'll dive into next. I got Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, Landon Castle, Sam Mayer getting their first wins in Xfinity. For truck, I felt safe with putting down Carson Hocevar and Derek Kraus. And for Cup, I'm going to say Cindric, Suarez, and Tyler Reddick could get their first wins this season.
Yeah, I say them and add Chase Briscoe and Ross Chastain.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Mm-hmm. I think Chase Briscoe will do a little bit better this season for sure. It's weird to see
especially
Stuart
considering
Haas
he's going to run more dirt. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
And I guess something else we should bring up.
Personally, I think Stuart – I was going to say, I think Stuart Haas could definitely do a lot better this year for sure. Obviously, Harvick can still compete. We'll see how he does with the new car. And Briscoe and Custer, two very young drivers who I think will see victory lane for sure, possibly. So, or at least down the road, if not this year. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously with Chase Briscoe running more dirt this year with that Mahindra sponsorship, I think we'll definitely see a bit of an uptick in his performance. And while we're talking on dirt, I guess what we should talk about is the Chili Bowl Nationals, which was a couple weeks ago, where Tanner Thorson got that first Golden Driller, kind of upsetting the 7-year dominance, I believe. 8-year dominance of Abreu, Bell, and Larson.
Yeah, a new face in the Chili Bowl victory lane. That was pretty cool to see.
Oh, yeah.
So, moving on, I'm going to go with my champion predictions at this point. Truck Series, I think this time around, John Hunter Nemechek will be seeking revenge after what happened at Phoenix. I think he gets it done this year. I think he's going to win a lot of races, no doubt about it. Xfinity, I'm going to say Ty Gibbs because I just think he is the hottest prospect in terms of performance and skill. The fact that he was thrown into an Xfinity car at the Daytona Road Course last year, a track that a lot of those guys had, minimal experience on, and he wins. Not only that, he went on to win a lot more races after that. So I think Ty Gibbs could certainly win the Xfinity Series Championship. And as for Cup, I hope I'm not jinxing him, but I think Kyle Larson could definitely repeat as a champion.
Yeah, you wouldn't be alone on that. I'm also going to go with Larson as my Cup champion. I mean, because why not? I mean, the dude is just too damn good right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Truck Series. Yeah. Truck Series. You know, you'd also be hard-pressed to go against Nemechek. You know, the dude's really good in that Kyle Busch car. So I think and he's clearly looking for redemption from last year. So he's definitely going to be one of the hardest competitors out there. So, yeah, that's going to be my pick. For Xfinity, man, yeah, this is a little bit more difficult for me. You know, obviously we have Hemrick with Colleague. That's probably going to be the most logical pick to go with. Just from because he's riding the high of his first championship. Xfinity Series is known to constantly produce repeat champions. So, you know, yeah, I think it'd be probably easy to go with Hemrick. Someone else to look at would probably be Noah Gregson, because I think at this point he's looking at Cup in 2023. Obviously, with him running part-time for Colleague in Cup this year, I think he's definitely going to be looking to prove that he deserves a full-time seat at that table. So I feel like that's also going to be another good pick to go with. You also have Justin Allgeyer returning. Obviously, I think it would be really awesome to see him finally get that elusive first title for Junior Motorsports.
Yeah, I think those are all good picks. And I think another driver to keep your eye on, Josh Berry.
True. I mean, look what he did this year running part-time.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely one of the biggest drivers to come up through NASCAR in just the last year. Just everything he's done. He's done everything. You know, he was driving truck races, won a couple races with Junior, even got to hop in the Cup car a couple of times. With him running full season, I think Josh Berry could definitely be a title contender this year for sure.
Yeah, this full-time Xfinity deal for him has been a long time coming. You know, obviously he's run for several years for Dale Jr. In the Cars Late Model Tour in the late model stock division, and he's basically dominated that division. And, of course, he gets the opportunity to run some Xfinity this year, and he obviously shows that he deserves it, taking home 2 wins. So seeing him full-time this year, it's like you just know he's going to be incredible. It kind of makes me feel a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely.
Knowing that I can go to these tracks and knowing that I'm not going to get my ass kicked by Josh Berry.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I believe we're probably going to do some late model stock stuff and limited late model stuff at Hickory and Kingsport. So, you know, knowing that maybe we'll have a shot at it without Josh Berry there dominating, it's going to be a pretty good feeling.
So, yeah, those are some predictions. Kind of wanted to go through for fun. What else do you see across really anything? What else do you see happening in 2022?
Honestly, I can't see anything. It is going to be an absolutely crazy year. That's the only thing I can say. You definitely want to stay tuned and watch the whole thing.
Absolutely. So some quick things to wrap things up. Netflix is releasing a docuseries about Bubba Wallace called Race Bubba Wallace. It'll be released on February 22nd. It will be 6 45-minute episodes. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And speaking of which, 2311 Racing, let's keep an eye out for that team, because I think Bubba and Kurt Busch, having Kurt Busch at that team is going to make them a lot better. I think both those guys make the playoffs. Yeah,
very true. Yeah, definitely watch out for both 2311 and Trackhouse.
Trackhouse, yep. I definitely look out for Trackhouse. I think for Suarez, long awaited for a win, especially for Chastain in the Cup Series. I think those two are going to be hungry to win, and I think I think Justin Marks and Pitbull have a really solid team there for sure. And obviously, you know, Colleague Racing, Justin Haley. We'll see how that team does as well.
Oh yeah, and something else I guess we could bring up with that is another team to watch out for. You know, in the Xfinity Series, if you ask me, is going to be Alpha Prime, the team that's hiring literally everybody to drive their cars this year. I mean, right now their lineup is absolutely stacked. You know, we've got Tommy Joe Martins, obviously. Cesar Baccarella is going to do some. And they've just announced Kaz Grala, Sage Karam, Josh Bilicki was announced today, Ryan Ellis. I mean, we have got, and of course Raja Karuth. Like, we have got a stacked lineup for this team. I mean, I truly think they're going to be able to contend for wins this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Alpha Prime and Tommy Joe does with that team. I think that is certainly a team on the rise in the Xfinity Series. We got a handful of new teams coming into Xfinity, especially, not to mention you have teams like Ermeling Gase, Joey Gase's new team.
SRQ Motorsports.
Yep. Yeah, I think we might see like 50 entries for Daytona or something like that. I think that's what they've been saying. And lastly, I want your thoughts on this. So the Martinsville Spring Night Race will be moved to 400 laps instead of 500. Stages will be 80, 100, 220. The fall elimination race will still be 500. The only scheduled 400-lap Cup race in Martinsville history was in 1956. So what were your thoughts? Because some people seem to not like it, that they were shortening that race, but I think I kind of get it. So what are your thoughts?
I kind of get it, too. I'm all in favor of shorter races. I think it's a better product for the fans, and I think the drivers like it better, too. A couple years ago when we had those 300 or those 500K races, which obviously are like 300 miles, the shorter races, I think we enjoyed that a lot more. So, honestly, I'd like to see a lot more races get shortened. I don't know if I would have done that one because the race is already, with 500 laps, 250 miles. So that's already a really short race. So maybe I wouldn't have done that one. I'd much rather see, like, maybe Darlington run a 300-mile race, 500K. I'd love to see Texas scale their races back to 500K. I like the shorter races at Pocono they did when it was a doubleheader. So, I'm all in favor of shorter races, just maybe not those kind of races, the ones that are already, under 500K.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that. And speaking of tracks, I forgot to mention, the other track to watch out for is Atlanta, because I think they practically turned it into a miniature Daytona with its new repave. So, obviously, we'll have to see how that nets out, too. So that being said, I think that'll wrap up our first Dropping the Hammer Racing Hour show of 2022. And we'll be back to talk about how the Clash goes down and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, I know they promoted 2021 as the best season ever, but I think 2022 is going to top it. I think we're going to have a really fun season ahead. Something. When we're in November, we're going to look back and go, holy crap, what a season this truly was. So, with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking us out here on YouTube. With that being said, from Michael Klein and myself, Alex Gray, we will see you next time. We're signing off.
Peace.